Don't wash me there, human. That's where we release our mating pheromones. The alien girl moaned softly. She stood shivering in his shower, blue skin trembling. He thought he was helping her clean the dirt off, but the moment he touched the small ridges near her lower back, she gasped. Please, don't wash me there, human. That's where we release our mating pheromones. And suddenly the air between them changed forever. Cold wind bit into Ronan Vance's face as he crossed the wasteland ridge, boots crunching over cracked glass-like soil. The planet Thalix IV had never forgiven the war, its skies still bruised purple from old radiation storms, its nights echoing with metal howls from broken satellites. He came here for peace, not ghosts. But when he found the girl, peace shattered. She lay half-buried beneath shattered pieces of a downed transport ship. Thin, blue-skinned, tangled hair like silver threads over her face. Shackles still clung to her wrists, glowing faintly. She was breathing, barely. Ronan knelt, brushing ash off her cheek. So young, too light. When he touched her shoulder, she flinched like a hunted animal and whispered something weak, musical, almost fearful. "Who, man? Don't take me back." Her voice cracked. He looked up. The crash site was fresh. Slave raiders. They moved quick, fast enough that they might return scavenging. Ronan had no reason to intervene. He wasn't a soldier anymore, not since the armory war chewed through his friends and spat him out alone. But something in her eyes, fear, exhaustion, a silent plea, reached deeper than logic. He wrapped his coat around her trembling body and lifted her into his arms. "You're safe now," he muttered, unsure if she understood. Her hand clutched his chest weakly anyway. Hours later, Ronan's cabin. The wooden cabin door groaned as he kicked it open. Warmth poured out. Dim lamps, old earth blankets, the smell of boiled roots. Ronan laid her on the bed gently. She watched him with wide, animal-like alertness. Every muscle tensed as if ready to flee. He stepped back, raising both hands. "Relax. No one's going to hurt you here." She didn't blink, didn't trust, only shivered violently. Blue skin, but human shape, slender, long neck, subtle shimmering scales across her back like stardust. She was beautiful in a way that didn't feel real. He boiled water, grabbing a bowl, cloth, and bandages. When he approached again, she tried pulling away, but her strength failed. "Let me clean the wounds," he said softly. For a long moment, she stared, trying to decode him. Finally, she nodded once. Ronan began gently wiping dried blood from her arm. He hissed in pain. "Sorry," he muttered. She blinked, confused. "Humans apologized?" He cleaned cuts, unshackled her wrists using a rusted bolt cutter. She stared at the broken cuffs quietly, as if freedom was an unfamiliar taste. Her voice trembled, accented, broken English shaped through pain. "Why? You help?" Ronan paused. No answer came easily. Because he couldn't walk away again. Because nightmares of people he didn't save still rattled in his skull. Because he was tired of burying things he could have rescued. Because you needed someone. Simple. True. Her eyes softened. Just a little. Night deepened. A storm growled outside. Thunder rattled windows like fists. Ronan worked by lamplight, placing a mug of warm broth beside her bed. She sniffed it carefully, then sipped, eyes widening at taste as if she hadn't eaten in days. When she finished, exhaustion dragged her under. Her voice slipped out, half asleep. "My name, Elira." Ronan nodded. "Rest, Elira." The accident. By dawn, fever sweat covered her skin. She kept trying to stand, body shaking uncontrollably. Ronan found her leaning into the washroom doorway, barely conscious, attempting to cleanse herself with trembling fingers. "Hey, you'll fall." He rushed to catch her. Elira collapsed against him, breath hot, heart racing fast like prey cornered. Her thin dress was soaked, plastered to her curves, grime still streaking down her back. She shivered violently, teeth scraping. Ronan lifted her carefully, guiding her under the low, warm shower stream. Water struck her skin, light blue droplets glowing faintly, sliding down like liquid starlight. She gasped, a soft, involuntary sound. He tried not to notice. Tried. Ronan gently washed dirt off her shoulders first. He flinched, but didn't resist. He worked lower, touching the small ridges lining her lower back. Alira froze. Completely. Her breath hitched, eyes wide, pupils blown. Voice impossibly soft. Don't wash me there, human." Ronan blinked, confused. His hand halted mid-motion. "Why? You're injured." Her legs trembled. Blue skin flushed a deep violet. She gripped his wrist, not to stop him, but as if she couldn't let go. Her next words broke the air like lightning. "That spot, it releases pheromones for mating." The room fell silent but for dripping water. A scent, sweet, warm, intoxicating, slowly rose like invisible smoke. Ronan's heartbeat stumbled. Not lust, instinct, animal, ancient. Elira's breathing turned uneven, body arching slightly as if fighting herself. "Please," she whispered, voice shaking. "If you touch long, my body will bond to you." Thunder rolled outside. Inside, another storm formed between them, quiet but electric. Ronan released her gently and stepped back, chest rising sharply. "I didn't know. I'm sorry." Elira slid to her knees, hugging herself as if ashamed. Her shimmering hair clung wet to her face, lips parted with conflicted need. Fear, longing, instinct warring behind her eyes. She looked up trembling. "Now, scent spread. Others may follow. Hunters smell pheromone trail." Her voice cracked. "They come for me." Ronan's jaw tightened. He'd only wanted to save her, yet his gentle touch triggered something sacred, something forbidden. Outside, far in the wasteland, faint metallic howls echoed in the wind. Not storm, engines. Someone was tracking. Ronan grabbed his rifle, eyes burning with a decision he hadn't realized he'd already made. He would protect her, bond or no bond, even if it meant killing again. Elira watched him, shaking, vulnerable, breath laced with pheromone scent she couldn't stop releasing. Her final line whispered like a promise or curse. "Human, now you've touched the place no outsider should. My fate is tied to yours." The cabin felt smaller the next morning. Ronan leaned against the wooden frame of the doorway, watching the alien girl sit curled on the bed, legs tucked under her, silver white hair cascading over her bare shoulder like moonlight. The blanket clung to her skin, soaked with a subtle, glowing mist. That scent again. Sweet, alien. Not perfume, not synthetic. It was her. Elira hadn't spoken since the accident in the shower. Her back still held the faintest shimmer along the ridge where his hand had touched. The pheromones she mentioned, some kind of biological defense or mating signal. It hung in the air like electricity in a lightning storm. Ronan cleared his throat, trying to slice the tension. "You didn't eat." She didn't look up. "I can't." "Still sick?" "No. Hungry. But eating? It'll make the scent stronger." She wrapped the blanket tighter. Her eyes flicked up, vivid violet with slit pupils, shimmering and ashamed. "My body thinks I've been claimed. It wants to finish the bond." Ronan inhaled sharply, rubbing a hand down his jaw. "But I didn't. I'd never—" "I know." Her voice was quiet. "You were gentle, kind. That's why it's worse." She stood slowly, legs shaky, balance off. The blanket slipped slightly down her back, revealing the glowing trail again. She pulled it back up, cheeks flushed. "I need to leave." "No." She blinked. "You step out of this cabin, you're dead. That crash site is still hot. And the scent, if it's as strong as you say, will lead others straight to you." "Then I'll run faster." "You'll die faster," Ronan snapped, then softer. "I didn't rescue you so I could bury you, Elira." Something in his voice made her pause. Her breathing slowed. She looked down at her fingers, tracing the bandages he'd wrapped. Then she asked something strange. Is it true? Humans don't mate for survival? Ronan frowned. What do you mean? In my colony, mating is chosen by bloodlines, by pheromone compatibility. You touch the scent gland, the bond begins, whether you want it or not. She looked up. But you stopped. Her voice cracked. You touched me and stopped. Silence. Ronan took a slow breath. Because you didn't ask me to keep going. Later that night, Elira sat cross-legged near the fire, wrapped in one of Ronan's flannel shirts. Far too large for her slight frame, her long silver hair glowed in the firelight. The scent had faded slightly. She looked more at ease. They didn't speak much, only watched the fire, until she whispered, You saved me twice now, from them and from myself. Ronan turned to her. She was staring into the flames. I was ready to let the bond finish, just so the pain would stop. You mean the fever? No, the ache, the emptiness when I'm near you, but can't touch. Her voice was barely audible, like glass shattering in the wind. Do you want it to happen? He asked. The pheromone mist deepens. It was midnight when the scent returned, stronger, thicker, sweet enough to choke the air. Elira staggered into the kitchen, skin glowing faintly violet, sweat shimmering across her forehead. Ronan stood instantly, catching her before she collapsed again. Her voice trembled. I can't stop it. It's the second phase. My body it's preparing to bind to the one it recognizes as safe. His arms tensed around her. Me. She nodded, cheeks burning. I'm sorry, I tried to stop it, but it's like trying to stop a flood by holding your breath. He carried her to the bed, gently laying her down. She clutched his sleeve. Don't leave me. I'm not going anywhere. Her fingers slid from his arm down to his chest, resting over his heart. My body is tricking me, making me think you're mine, that you belong to me. Ronan didn't pull away. Maybe it's not a trick. Elira blinked. What? He leaned closer, eyes locked with hers. Maybe your body's just faster than your heart. A new type of bond. The moment hovered, fragile, loaded. But Ronan did not touch her scent gland again. He only stayed beside her, held her hand, watched over her as she trembled and slowly calmed. He whispered stories of Earth, of oceans and thunderstorms that didn't kill, of wolves who mated for life, of men who chose love, not instinct. And for the first time since her crash, Elira slept without pain. At dawn, a distant sound woke him. Metal scraping rock. Engines. He grabbed his rifle and looked out the window. Tracks. At least 3 raiders. They'd followed the trail. Ronan turned back. Elira was awake now, eyes alert, body already shifting into panic. She gripped the edge of the table. They're coming for me. The scent. They'll never stop until I'm taken. Ronan walked to the door and locked it, then pulled a second rifle from beneath the floorboards. He handed it to her. Then we make them stop. Elira looked up surprised. Ronan didn't smile, only said, You're not a prisoner. You're not a pet. You're not a thing to be owned. He chambered the rifle. You're someone worth fighting for. The rifles lay ready. The fire had been put out. Every curtain was drawn. And still, the scent lingered. Elira paced the corner of the cabin, her bare feet silent against the floorboards, tail twitching nervously beneath Ronan's oversized shirt. Her skin pulsed faintly along her neck ridges, bioluminescent nerves betraying her fear. The mist she released when anxious had thinned, but the emotional tension had not. Outside, engines purred, then stopped. Silence rolled in. Someone had arrived. Ronan stood by the window, pulse steady, jaw clenched. He could hear the subtle hum of energy rifles being powered, the crunch of boots approaching. He was a man who had once led death squads into dark systems. He recognized the rhythm of men who had killed before. He turned to Elira. 3, maybe 4. Light armor. They're not here to negotiate. She said nothing, only picked up the second rifle, her fingers trembling as they hovered over the grip. Ronan stepped close. "Do you know how to shoot?" Elira nodded. "We train from childhood, even the ones sold." She met his eyes. "They teach us to die before we're claimed." His expression tightened. "Not today." The waiting, minutes passed like thunder held in the lungs. Ronan knelt by the fireplace and flipped up a false panel. Inside was a sealed tube of smoke mines. Non-lethal, old war tech. He tossed one to Elira. "Pull the tab, throw at their feet. If they breach." She caught it, clumsily but with sharp eyes. Her breathing slowed. The pheromone mist faded almost completely. Her body calmed, but her heart did not. Ronan looked at her again. She stood tall now. Scared, yes, but also something else. Defiant. Voices in the dark. A knock echoed. Too gentle, mocking. Then a voice. "You have something of value, human. The Zarelian female. Return her and we won't reduce your bones to ash." Ronan said nothing. Another voice called out. A smoother one. Male, but serpentine. "We can smell the bond. You touched her. You triggered it. But she's still under contract. She's not yours." Inside, Elira's hands clenched. The glowing ridges along her skin darkened. She moved beside Ronan. "They're not raiders. They're brokers. Bounty reclamation unit. Slavers," he muttered. "They don't steal. They collect." Her voice was flat. "Once a scent trail is logged in their database, they chase it until the body is cold. Or claimed." "Claimed?" Elira looked down. "Finished. Physically. Marked. Officially bonded by species standards. Once done, no one can take me again." Ronan looked away. His jaw clenched. That kind of choice, that kind of claim, it wasn't something to make under siege. Then we hold them off. You don't owe them anything. The attack. The door exploded inward with a plasma charge. Smoke, screams, red dots on walls. 3 armored figures poured in, visors scanning. Ronan rolled left. One clean shot dropped the first invader with a blast to the chest plate. The second opened fire. Elira ducked under the kitchen table, then hurled the smoke mine directly under him. Pop, hiss. A thick lavender mist swallowed the room. Elira emerged, rifle steady, and fired twice. One shot caught the third raider in the thigh, the other in his shoulder. He screamed and fell. The mist pulsed with violet light, refracting their bioluminescence. For a moment, the entire room glowed like the inside of a dream. Then, silence again. Aftermath. Bodies were dragged out. Ronan wiped blood from his temple. Elira sat against the wall, panting, her rifle across her lap. Her eyes flicked to Ronan's bleeding forearm. She crawled to him. Her hand hovered over the wound. Zarelian saliva. It can help close human skin. He blinked. "Is that your subtle way of saying you want to lick me?" She hesitated, then actually smiled. The first real smile he'd seen. So maybe I want to do worse than that." Her hand slid slowly down his arm to his palm. But she stopped herself. "I want to bond, but I want it to be real. Not because I'm scared. Or grateful." He nodded. "You'll get that. If it's me, it'll be when we're both ready." Elira's smile faded into something softer. Her fingers gripped his hand tighter. "Then stay close. Just stay." A warning in the firelight. That night, while the bodies burned, Elira asked, "Will more come?" Ronan stared into the fire. "If they registered your bond sent in the system, yes. But they'll send stronger ones next. I can fake a mating mark with bioluminescent ink. Trick the sensors." Ronan raised an eyebrow. "You've done that before?" She looked away. "No." Silence. The wind howled outside. The stars looked cold. Then Elira whispered, "You touched me gently and didn't take. That means more than any bond." She stood, walked to him, and gently rested her forehead against his chest. "So if my people ask who claimed me, I'll say you did, but not because of biology. Because you waited. Snow fell silently on the ash-covered field behind the cabin. The burning corpses of the bounty collectors hissed beneath the white flurry. Iron, flesh, and alien armor, collapsing into smoke and bone. Ronan stood at the edge of the forest line, rifle slung low, eyes scanning every ridge. No more movement. Not yet. Behind him, the cabin door creaked open. Elira stepped out, barefoot in the snow, skin shimmering like moonlit glass. She had braided her silver hair back, exposing the glowing lines of her neck and temple. In the weak daylight, she looked older, stronger, but haunted. She approached quietly. Her breath fogged in the air. You didn't sleep. He shook his head. Don't plan to. She followed his gaze across the horizon. The crash site far to the west still emitted flickering blue sparks. That's where the trackers first picked up her scent. It had started there, but now, she looked down. Now it's everywhere. Ronan didn't answer. He didn't have to. She could feel it too. The pull, the ache, the bond trying to complete itself in her biology, starving for him, even when he stood inches away. A message in blood. The two surviving bounty raiders had left behind more than just threats. Ronan found a small cube in one of their hip pouches, activated by heat. When he tossed it into the fire, it projected a pale hologram. A Zarelian male, regal, horned, and cruel-eyed. Elira, run all you want. We own your scent now. You can mate with him, breed with him. But we'll still come, and when we take you, we'll take him too. Elira stared into the flames. She didn't blink. But Ronan noticed her hands had clenched so tight her knuckles were blue. The fading girl. That night, her body began to fail. It started slowly. Small shivers, distant eyes, breath catching mid-sentence. Then it got worse. Fever. Violet streaks running under her skin. A smell like scorched flowers and salt began leaking from her pores. She collapsed just before dawn. Ronan caught her in his arms. Her skin burned against his chest, and her voice was slurred. This isn't disease. It's bond rejection. Her eyes fluttered open, barely focused. I'm too close to you. Not bonded. The body breaks down. She winced. I'm sorry. I didn't want it this way. He laid her gently on the bed and backed away. But she cried out, reaching for him. No, don't leave. It hurts more when you're far. Ronan froze. Her body trembled, her scent thickening in the air, intoxicating and desperate. He sat beside her, held her shaking hand. Then I'll stay, right here. Her eyes fluttered closed, and for a moment, just a moment, her heart slowed. The fever eased. Not gone, but delayed. The decision. The next day, Ronan stood by the fire, staring into it like it might give him an answer. Elira slept, her breathing shallow but even. He reached for the comm pad, an old war unit rarely used, and opened a blacklisted channel. Scrambled encryption, untraceable. He transmitted one sentence. If you're reading this, I need a ghost route off Thalix 4. He didn't know if the contact still lived, or if she would come, but the girl was dying, and the blood trail was growing. They couldn't fight every hunter. They had to disappear. Elira's passed. That evening she woke. Ronan sat beside her, eyes sunken. She looked at him, really looked this time. Her fingers brushed his. Why haven't you marked me? He stayed silent. She continued. My people think it's mating that finishes the bond. But it's not. It's the mark, the choice, a sign made in front of witnesses. You could do it now. You could say, I'm yours, even lie, and I would heal. She held his gaze, vulnerable and bare. Why haven't you? Ronan spoke quietly. Because I want you to live, not belong. Tears welled up in her eyes. For a species who never wept, it was a holy thing. A new path. At dawn, the cabin sensors beeped. A figure appeared on the ridge, small, cloaked, unarmed. Ronan opened the door and stepped out slowly. It was a woman, human. Gray hair, half her face burned, wearing old fleet armor like patchwork. She nodded once. Still alive, Vance? Barely. She looked past him, saw the glowing light from inside. Zarellian bond fever. Damn, you got yourself knotted deep. Ronan said nothing. She tossed him a small key chip. There's a dead canyon 3 clicks east. Shuttle buried under the ice bed. Still cloaked, still jump capable. Elira appeared behind him, leaning against the doorframe. The woman glanced at her, blinked once. Pretty little thing. Dangerous. Ronan nodded. She's more than she looks. The woman smiled faintly. Aren't they all? The road to freedom. They left at night. Ronan carried Elira wrapped in thick coats and thermal blankets. Her fever had returned, but she clung to consciousness. Her head rested on his shoulder. Her scent still faintly lingered. As they reached the edge of the canyon, she whispered, You'll regret this. Why? Because once I'm healed, I'll choose you, and you'll be stuck with a loud, bonded alien who never stops talking. Ronan smiled through frost. I'd rather that than silence. She closed her eyes. Then hurry, before I forget the sound of your voice. The buried shuttle emerged like a sleeping dragon beneath the snow, hidden under layers of ice wrapped in stealth netting and cracked hull plating. It was barely operational, but alive. Ronan wiped frost from the access panel and slammed the key chip in. A vibration passed through the ground. Inside his arms, Elira stirred. Her fever had worsened, skin dimming from luminous silver to gray blue, veins flickering like lightning under her skin. Her breathing came in short gasps now, labored, wet, the sound of a body slipping away. Ronan kicked the panel again. Come on, open! With a groan of hydraulics, the hatch hissed open. The ship's breath rolled out, stale, metallic, warm. He carried her inside. Inside the wreckage of hope. The ship's interior was dark, wires dangling like roots from the ceiling. Ronan found the med bay, a single cracked bed, no AI interface, just a bodible with faded Zarellian markings. He laid Elira down gently. She opened her eyes, weak and glazed. This is a ghost ship. I know. You trust it? I trust you. She tried to laugh. It came out as a cough. Then you're stupider than I thought. Ronan grinned faintly. Probably. He opened the console and began wiring power from the backup core into the bodible. The ship groaned, shivered, then began to hum softly, like something remembering how to live. Elira turned her face toward him. You've done too much already. I'm not finished yet. Her confession. As he calibrated the table, she spoke through clenched teeth. Ronan, there's something I didn't tell you. About the bond. He looked at her. She was trembling, voice raw, breath uneven. When my kind begins the bond, and it doesn't complete, it burns us up. But if it completes, it traps us forever. Ronan was quiet. She continued. Not just emotions, memory, scent, thought. You'll be in me until death, even if you leave, even if you break me. Her eyes locked with his. Are you ready for that? He stepped closer. Are you? She searched his face. For hesitation. Doubt. She found none. Then, so softly, it was almost a prayer. Touch the mark again, Ronan. No. She blinked. Why? His voice was a storm held behind steel. Because this bond won't begin with a gland or a scent. It'll begin with you saying you want it. Out loud. The return of the scent. The ship's atmosphere warmed. Her body responded instantly. Pheromone mist spilled out. Not desperate like before, but deliberate, ancient, intentional. Elira's eyes pulsed with pale fire. Her voice deepened slightly, resonant with instinct. Then I say it. I want you. Not because my blood calls, because my heart whispers your name when I'm dying. Ronan stepped forward. She reached for his hand. He placed it gently, along the line of her lower back. The same place he'd touched by accident days ago. This time, she didn't flinch. She pressed into it, welcomed it. The mist around them thickened, floral and electric. The ship's lights pulsed with her heart rate. A glow formed between their hands. Then, silence. Her body relaxed. The fever broke. The bond had completed. But he hadn't taken anything. He had claimed nothing. Only stood by her side. Until she chose. The choice in fire. Elira slept for 4 hours. Deep, healing. When she woke, Ronan was cleaning blood from his gloves, sitting on the floor. She sat up slowly. Skin cool. Breathing steady. He looked up. "You look not dead." She smiled. "You're not half bad for a warrior." He stood. "We can leave in 5 hours. Ship needs charging." "Where will we go?" "Where they can't follow." She walked toward him, barefoot, stepped silent. Her fingers touched his wrist. "You're not afraid?" "Of what?" "That I'm bound to you now, forever." Ronan raised an eyebrow. "You think you're the only one who bonded?" Her breath caught. "You think I'm not ruined now, too?" He leaned in. "You think I'll ever forget the moment you said my name like it was the last word you wanted to die with?" Silence. Their foreheads touched. Not as predator and prey, not as owner and captive. As equals, survivors, lovers in a broken world. Final strike. The ship powered on. But outside, motion. A new squad, heavily armored, plasma lances, 8 of them. They had tracked her all the way here. Ronan grabbed his rifle. Elira stood beside him, Viatable pulsing behind her. She smiled at him, finally, fully. "Let's protect this stupid bond, shall we?" He smirked. "You mean our bond?" Outside, red laser sights scanned the snow. Inside, 2 warriors opened the door. The snowstorm swallowed the world in white as the raider squad descended. 8 of them. No scent cloaks, no hesitation. They believed in the trail. They believed she was still unclaimed. They didn't know. She had chosen. Inside the buried ghost ship, Elira stood barefoot in Ronan's flannel shirt and her battle-marked skin, eyes glowing with purpose. No longer trembling. No longer running. Bonded. By choice. Ronan locked the outer hatch. "We hold them here, then vanish." Elira looked at him, heart pounding, not with fear now, but fire. "Let them come." Her voice was steady, sharp, beautiful. The last assault. They breached at once, a triple blast to the front hull. The ship shook violently, metal groaning like a dying god. Smoke flooded the chamber. Ronan and Elira moved like wind and flame. His rifle barked plasma across the room. One down, another screaming. She darted through shadows, her body shimmering as pheromone-triggered mist cloaked her movements. A raider turned, aimed at her chest. Ronan tackled him from behind and drove a combat knife into his throat. "You don't get to touch her," he growled. She fought for him now. Elira's eyes locked on the squad leader, a tall brute with a scorched crest tattooed across his face. He raised a pulse cannon. "Return the female," he shouted. "The contract isn't broken. She is still owned." Elira stepped forward, teeth bared. "I am not yours. I was never yours." She raised her rifle. 2 shots rang out, one through his knee, one through his mating hand. He dropped the cannon, screaming. She walked to him slowly, unshaken. "I've been touched by a human, but not claimed, not branded, not used. I chose him because he saw me, and that breaks every chain you ever put on me." He fired one last time. His head snapped back. Silence. After the smoke, the air hung thick with smoke, blood, and melting snow. The last of the raiders lay broken. Ronan stood near the edge of the ship, shoulder bleeding, breath ragged. Elira walked to him, cupped his face in both hands. "You're bleeding. You're glowing," he said softly. She laughed through tears and kissed him, forehead to forehead, then lips to lips, their bond humming like ancient drums beneath the stars. Leaving the planet, they buried the last corpses under frost, set fire to what remained. The ship's engines whined to life. Old, damaged, but still loyal. She sat in the co-pilot's seat, hands gently brushing the controls. He strapped in beside her. "Where now?" she asked. Ronan glanced at her. "Somewhere they don't track scent. Somewhere we can plant something. Live, laugh, burn toast." She tilted her head. "Toast?" He grinned. "You'll love it." 1 month later, somewhere in the asteroid garden of Ascara 7, the cabin wasn't much. One room, handbuilt, a solar sink for energy, a roof that sometimes creaked. But it stood between flowering vines and tall alien trees that sang at dusk. Alera stepped outside, bare feet in the moss, watching a pair of bluebird-like creatures flit by. She carried a strange metallic cup. "This is what you call tea?" she asked suspiciously. Ronan, sitting on the porch carving wood, nodded. "Bitter, like earth regrets. But it grows on you." She sipped it, made a face. He laughed. She had changed. Her hair had grown longer. Her laugh came easier. The scent glands on her back glowed only when she sang or danced in the garden. She still bore the markings of slavery. Still woke in the night sometimes, breathing heavy. But now she always reached for him. And he was always there. He had changed too. Once a soldier, a ghost in war. Now he wore his scars like medals, because everyone had led him to her. They built shelves, planted a tree, named it after the moment she said his name without shaking. They never spoke of bonds again, because it no longer mattered who touched first, only who stayed. A new visitor. One night, a soft knock at the edge of the tree line. A small Zarelian girl stood there, thinner, dirt-streaked, younger. She looked at Alira and collapsed into her arms. Ronan watched silently. Alira whispered, "My sister." They brought her in, fed her, cleaned her. That night she slept between them. Epilogue: the cabin that became a home. Alira stood in the doorway, watching the sunrise over purple hills. Behind her, Ronan stirred in bed. Her sister hummed softly in sleep. She breathed in the morning air. No mist, no fear. Just the scent of moss, tea, and safety. She closed her eyes. They said I would be claimed, broken, bred. But I wasn't. I was seen. And that changed everything.